team one. So I believe we are here at the business end of the tournament. It's the semi-finals. So in 2009, it was one Mr. Hemas who came up with this concept called the Great HR Debate. And at that time, I believe in 2009, we had about 12 teams participating. And in 2009, I don't think we even thought it would go this far. So it's great to sit here and 16 years down the line, and today it has become part of our of the conference. And today the Great HR Debate kicks off the HR conference. So friends, I think sometimes when you make small changes, the ripple effect is huge. So once again, make those small changes, because today we see the benefit of what a gentleman did almost 16 years ago. So friends, once again welcome to the semi-finals of the Great HR Debate. We have two wonderful teams with us, and the IPL has still not selected their top four. They haven't. One team remaining. So 3 slots are taken. One slot is available. We're hoping Mumbai Indians will get in. Big says mine is the coach. But here at the Great HR Debate, all 4 slots are selected, and by 4 amazing teams. So first of all, I think let's put hands together for the 2 teams who are here. A big round of applause. And I think over the last few weeks, I think we have got to know the 2 teams, and HConnect International has 3 marketeers and 1 IT person. Hemas Hospitals has a marketeer, has a lawyer and a doctor. No HR people. So I think put hands together for that as well. We have all, there was one reason why we did the Great HR Debate, that was to create great awareness. And I think with this, I think we have created great awareness, not only in HR, but I think in other departments as well. And so friends, we are a little sympathetic. We don't have HR issues because we also go through this every day. Yeah. So great to have people who like HR and who endorse HR. And I think HConnect International, you had 3 debates in your first round. You won all 3, and then the quarterfinals, and you're here today. Hemas Hospitals had 3 debates. They won 2 out of 3. They won the quarterfinals, and you are here today. So great, 2 wonderful teams, and we're looking forward to a great debate as well. So I'll quickly go through the rules. We have 1 judge who is on her way, but in the meantime, in the interest of time, so just to tell you, the IPM clock is taking a break today, just for today. Tomorrow it will be back running on time, so don't worry about the IPM clock. We'll go according to our time of 6 and we'll give you a spot on time. Yeah. Right. So once again, the rules of the debate. So the time is basically 5 minutes, and like we said, like we have been saying, stick to time, because we are at the semi-finals, and one of these teams will go to the final, and we need to stick to time. So 5 minutes. You get a warning at 5:15, 5:30, 5:45, and 6. Once you hit 6, judges will decide, but chances are if you hit 6, marks will be deducted. And I believe this will be a close debate, so it will be very unfortunate if you actually lose marks because of time. So let's stick to time, right? Also, in terms of, I think, the code of conduct, we have had clean debates. We have had tough debates, but we have had clean debates. We have had people pushing the boundaries of the debate. Let me say that. But I think we have had clean, good debates. So I think let's maintain that, and I think let's have fun, and let's also have a good debate and a clean debate. So be courteous, respectful towards other participants, guest sponsors, and also the judges. Abide by the laws of the country, abide by the laws of CIPM. Don't make any insulting comments, jokes about a person's culture, race, religion, gender, or sexual orientation. Don't make any offensive remarks about the opponent's organization. So hopefully today, no examples from HConnect International or Hemas Hospitals Private Limited. Yeah? Hopefully no examples today. Even the positive, let's leave aside, because once a positive example comes, the negative examples could come soon after that. And I know from whom. So let's not go down that road. Let's not use any profane language. Cross-talk, let's try to avoid. Also the audience, in case you're moving out of the room, make sure that the debaters are not debating so that you don't disturb them as well. Obviously the elections are done. Who is going to be Mayor of Colombo, we still don't know, but let not that be a political discussion at the debate. Are we good to go? Rules? Right. So we have a wonderful panel of judges as well. Let me introduce them before we start. So she will function as the chair of the panel of judges. She is a senior professor, Department of HRM at the University of Colombo. Put your hands together for Professor Arosha Adhikar. He is a senior lecturer, Faculty of Law, University of Colombo. Put your hands together for Professor A. Sarbeswaran. He is the head of Group Human Resources and Legal of Haley's Group. Put your hands together for Darshita Maheva. She is the Group Chief Human Resource Officer of Janshakti Group. Put your hands together for Ms. Vasanthi Stephen. And she is the Group Chief People Officer of Hela Holdings. Put your hands together for Ms. Devina Kurt. Right, and I think once more, also just to say that we have, I believe this is debate number 35, 36 going on today. And I think we have come here over the last few months. We have had good debates and I think the facilities have been amazing. So before we start, a big round of applause for CIPM. Yeah. Right, so without further ado, battle lines have all been drawn, judges have been introduced, and I invite the proposing captain. Over to you, madam.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's 2021 and it's Wellness Week at LinkedIn. For one entire week, the entire LinkedIn workforce logs off to rest, to recharge, to breathe. A wonderful well-being initiative done to combat pandemic-driven burnout. Not just LinkedIn, Twitch, Hearst Magazine, they all follow suit. So for one entire week, the emails stopped. The Zoom calls go quiet. Now, stress did reduce, it did. But you know what else reduced? Speed, responsiveness, results. Because the LinkedIn spokesperson himself had told the media that teams had to stagger time off in order to make up for key disruptions in certain departments. At Hearst, editors had to work overtime because to meet publishing deadlines post-break. At Twitch, the Wellness Week directly overlapped with key deliveries, causing delays and user frustration. So these were not initiated with problems in it. These were well-intentioned trade-offs. And that's our point tonight. We firmly argue that prioritizing employee well-being often conflicts with business outcomes. So let's begin with defining tonight's motion. What is employee well-being? According to a survey done by a Great Place to Work and Johns Hopkins University, employee well-being refers to an individual's physical, mental, and emotional state at work. Great Place to Work covers this through 5 key areas: mental and emotional support, a sense of purpose, financial health, personal support, and meaningful social connections. Moving on, let's see how business objectives are defined. Now, according to Harvard Business School, business objectives dictates how your company plans to achieve its goals, and it also addresses a business's strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities. Now, according to Norton and Kaplan's balanced scorecard, these are viewed from 4 key perspectives. So we're talking about financial, customer, internal processes, and learning and growth. Under financial is always increasing revenue, decreasing cost, and maximizing investor returns. Under customer, of course, there's customer satisfaction, customer loyalty, and market share. Under internal processes, we have operational efficiency, innovation, regulation and compliance, and ESG. Under learning and growth, we have human capital, which is your workforce skills, digital infrastructure, and culture. Now, these are all non-negotiables when it comes to competitive markets. Now, drawing from all these definitions, here is our stance tonight. We recognize that well-being is essential for workplaces, but prioritizing or putting it first ahead of business objectives creates tension. It slows down decision-making, diverts resources from strategy, and impacts the speed of business in agile markets. Because when well-being becomes the priority, business objectives become the casualty. Let's start by addressing a claim that I'm sure the opposition will lean on tonight. Well-being equals a happier workforce equals more productivity, and that equals business objectives reached. Now, it sounds very logical when I say it like that. But here is an article from the Harvard Business Review, and it's titled, "Why Workplace Wellbeing Programs Don't Achieve Better Outcomes." Now, in this article, it says that 85% of large US firms have workplace well-being programs. And corporate well-being spending is projected to reach $94.6 billion by 2026. But here's the fun part. 68% of the employees in these companies say that they don't use their company's well-being resources because A, it's confusing, cumbersome, or too time-consuming. So essentially, companies are spending more but getting less by diverting their time, their money and resources from core business objectives into programs like this that either go unused or under-delivered. Now here's how we'll build our case tonight. I, as your first affirmative speaker, have defined this motion and shown you where our key focus is. Our second speaker will exactly map how certain well-being initiatives compromise business outcomes. Our third and fourth speakers will reinforce our key stance and directly dismantle the opposition's arguments tonight. But here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, we are not against well-being. We are against getting that order right. Because when you chase well-being at the cost of business objectives, everyone loses. The business, its employees, jobs, growth, their future. By chasing wellness at the cost of business objectives, you are hurting the very people you're trying to protect. And that's the paradox of our argument tonight. And through the course of the next hour, my team and I will prove to you exactly why prioritizing well-being directly conflicts with business outcomes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Round of applause to the judges' point. May I invite the captain of the opposing team? Over to you, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of the judge panel, head table, my proposition team, and the audience. May 1st, 1886, people got onto the streets asking for an 8-hour working shift. From that date to this date, 2025, the working conditions and the well-being of employees have been addressed by many governments, almost all governments in the world, providing them legislature and legal backing up for minimum wages and good working conditions. Well, therefore, prioritizing on employee well-being does not conflict with the business objectives of those organizations which were there from 1886 to 2025 today. Even today, we try to do more on the well-being of employees. Whilst I little bit agree with the definition provided by the proposing party on employee well-being, I like to add up for certain few things based on Armstrong's definition. That is, that not only physical, mental and emotional, but the social health of employees is also taken into account when you consider employee well-being. And it's not just about the absence of illness and stress. It's about creating a working environment that promotes good health and safety, positive working relationships amongst the employees, work-life balance, job satisfaction, engagement, and opportunity to grow. Armstrong views employees' well-being is a strategic concern for organization, linking it directly to performance, productivity, and organizational success, including its business objectives. So proactive HR policies, practices that support well-being through health programs, flexible working hours, supportive leadership, and a culture of respect and inclusion will drive these companies to achieve their business objectives. My proposition team did not provide a definition for prioritizing and conflict. Let me provide the Oxford definition for prioritizing. To treat something as being more important than the other things. In a business context, that is, to involve allocating resources, time, and attention to goals that have the greatest impact on success. Lynn Winter, in his book, A Practical Guide to Prioritization, gave an answer as to why we prioritize things. To gain efficiency, realize goals, reduce the workload, build empathy, stay focused, realize objectives. This is one of the reasons that we prioritize things in organizations. And also, let me go on to define what business objectives are through David Ulrich and Michael Armstrong's definitions. I will quote both. In Human Resource Champions book, David Ulrich says business objectives are measurable, strategic outcomes that align human resources, operations, and capital towards delivering stakeholder value and sustaining competitive advantage. Isn't this business objectives? Michael Armstrong, in his Handbook of Human Resource Management Practices, states business objectives define what the organization needs to achieve to fulfill its mission and deliver making performance management. Now, mission, vision. A company has a vision, mission, and business objectives all aligned together. A company will not have business objectives which does not align with the vision and mission. And what company will support or implement a strategy which conflicts with its mission, vision, or business objectives? What company would give an HR strategy which conflicts with its business objectives? So thereby, I state that prioritizing employee well-being does not conflict with business objectives. That's my motion. And as per the two definitions of business objectives, the human resources is not a minor matter, but the nutrient that makes businesses achieve their goals and objectives. Let me define what a conflict is. A serious incompatibility between the two. Ideas, principles, or objectives. Now, to win this debate, the proposing party must prove that prioritizing employee well-being is fundamentally and repeatedly incompatible with business objectives. We argue the opposing that not only they are compatible, that they are mutually reinforcing. We will introduce three of our core arguments, and my second speaker will introduce three more arguments, and my third and fourth speaker will bring down the opposition's arguments. Strategic alignment. When well-being aligns with business goals, it multiplies execution, focus, and delivery of employees. Oxford study has shown that happy workers are 13% more powerful, more productive. Talent retention of employee branding. Cultures that prioritize well-being attract and keep top performers. Innovative through psychological safety. Project Aristotle of Google is one great example. Let me also put down scholars such as Ed Diner in subjective well-being theory, Carroll's psychological well-being theory, Seligman's PERMA, Kais Daniel Pink's theories, all converge to one thing. Well-being is the psychological infrastructure of performance, and therefore prioritizing on well-being does not conflict with business objectives. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I give round of applause? May I invite the second speaker of the proposing team? Over to you, sir.
Honorable judges, esteemed opposition, and ladies and gentlemen in the audience, let me begin by reminding you what our motion today here is. Prioritizing on employee well-being conflicts with business objectives. Now, our first speaker made it clear with our intentions. We are not here to speak about whether employee well-being is important. Yes, it is important. We are here to debate about priority. And as my captain mentioned, businesses, when it comes to business objectives, they target finance, customers, internal business processes, and learning and growth. So let me dissect to you where well-being exactly stands within these four objectives. Under learning and growth objectives, business focuses on three main areas: human capital, information capital, and organizational capital. Within human capital, we consider the aspect of employee well-being. Not only that, within human capital, we consider the factor of career development, we consider the factor of job security, we consider the factor of perks and benefits for employees. Now, here's our key argument. When we prioritize well-being above all the aspects that contribute to business objectives, that is what creates conflict. Now, as the second speaker for the proposition, I am here to prove you that these conflicts are not just theoretical but also operational. Now, the opposition captain, the captain of the opposition, in our definition for well-being, we mentioned 5 spheres, and social connection was already a part of our definition, if you had already listened. And also, we already defined what priority is. It is putting something first. So, let's move on. According to an article, an investigation into factors that influence employee well-being and their impacts on productivity done by Sheridan in 2022, well-being initiatives require time incentive efforts, team retreats, meditation sessions, seminars, and mental health days. Now this sounds great on paper, but it comes with a cost. Time, resources, and focus are pulled away from core business operations. The result, a direct dip in productivity. And in industries like tech, finance, and publishing, where timing is the key, a small delay doesn't just slow the progress, it disrupts the entire process of the business. And data backs this. The article from Harvard Business Review discusses how companies that delay necessary layoffs of restructuring, often in attempt to preserve employee well-being, may suffer greater financial losses in long term. Furthermore, Gallup 2021, as highlighted in the research from Academy of Management journal, Gallup's data showed a decline in employee engagement from 36% in 2020 to 32% in 2022, and approximately losing 1.9 trillion US dollars in productivity nationwide in USA, indicating that well-being initiatives are alone insufficient, but factors like clarity in expectation and clear understanding of organization's mission and purpose are more crucial in maintaining engagement. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what part does clarity in expectation, understanding of organization's mission and purpose falls under? It falls under organizational culture and communication aspect of the business objectives. Now, here's my argument. If you prioritize well-being out of all the other aspects that contribute for business objectives, we are inevitably in a risk where we are creating culture over comfort performance. Culture over comfort, over performance. And at the same time, we are ultimately diluting business objectives. How? Because we are not addressing the specific factor that contributes to business objectives. And in this case, it's organizational culture and communication. And according to a 2023 study done by New Haven University, well-being interventions often distract from or undermine core business goals in high-pressure environments. So, what do we really gain by putting well-being first when the price is client dissatisfaction, broken workflows, and compromised results? Further, the Oxford study, Workplace Well-being and Firm Performance, done in 2023, found that many popular wellness programs are not just ineffective, but can be counterproductive, resulting in confusion, disrupting workflows, and even harming overall business results. And here's the most ironic part. When business results suffer, job security suffers. And when customer satisfaction drops, revenue declines. And when that happens, the very employee we are trying to protect end up losing the most. So, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, it is not about sense of purpose, mental support, personal support that gets your project over the finishing line. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, applause. Thank you, Janet. May I invite the second speaker of the opposing team? Go to
I'm so glad our proposing team is not in the racing arena. Even the fastest F1 car prioritizes the pit stop in its game plan to win. If you don't prioritize it, you'll be out of the race before you know it. Employee well-being, my friend, is the pit stop for every high-performing organization, because speed without recovery is a crash waiting to happen. Esteemed panel of judges, ladies and gentlemen, our topic and argument for today: prioritizing on employee well-being does not conflict with business objectives. It actually supports the acceleration of them, because the business is only as strong as the people who power it. Every CEO watches the top line, right? But the smart ones watch what silently erodes profitability. So let's look at the problem here. Absenteeism, burnout don't always show up in your quarterly dashboards, do they? But they drain output, morale, and profits. Let me bring things into perspective by showing you an example. The Harvard Business Review shows that Johnson & Johnson, over a period of 10 years, through their wellness programs, made $2.71 in return of investment for every dollar that was spent. This was done through insurance claims, reduced absenteeism, and improvement on engagement. The NHS in UK, the mental health intervention saved over £10 million by cutting dependency on agency staff and reducing sick leave. This is that example for you. Employee well-being. Just to put things into perspective, this involves physical wellness, financial security, work-life balance, emotional comfort, and social acceptance. But in real work-life terms, it relates to health insurance, student loans, child support, counseling, welcoming culture, and so much more. All of which prioritizing complements and cultivates an environment to achieve organizational objectives, nothing else. So let's look at some research to back my argument today. Gallup study, which says what is employee well-being, shows that in businesses that prioritize employee well-being, 69% of employees don't search for new jobs. 71% don't experience burnouts. And this makes employees 3 times more engaged at work and 5 times more likely to recommend their organizations as a great place to work. So prioritizing the good that you do for your employees will not conflict with your business objectives. They will only complement the achievements. Our core argument for today can be backed by theory as well. The sustainable HRM model of INAT in 2016 shows how well-being and quality of life enables motivation, satisfaction, and performance. Then the PERMA model by Seligman shows that positive emotions, engagement, and positive relationships along with meaning can be created by investing in employee well-being. This is reference for you. And this contributes to accomplishment of business objectives. This is what they said based on valid information. So let's look at this theory from a real life perspective. In the business world, the business plan and the annual report relate to the roadmap for business growth and the last year's performance. So looking at an example, before we do that, business plans of modern customer-centric forward-thinking companies include HR strategy. That is the core. So Microsoft did it so well. They treat employees and their well-being as a key to innovation and talent retention. And thereby, in their 2023 annual report, clearly linked employee well-being to innovation and performance, and so a 22% increase in their employee engagement. This created a culture that helped innovate customer-centric tools such as MS Office 365 to be enhanced that customers' needs were met very well. In 2023, the World Economic Forum made very clear that employee well-being is now a core ESG metric. The social pillar of ESG directly measures how companies treat their workers, covering safety, mental health, and overall well-being. So poor performance in this area can lead to ESG downgrades. For example, Amazon faced backlash over warehouse conditions. And on the other hand, while Microsoft was praised for prioritizing mental health. So in summary, my friends, prioritizing employee well-being is a powerful strategic investment that fuels performance, innovation, and long-term success, as presented in my case, citing global accepted theories, success stories, and giants in the business world. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Contours. Thank you, the judges. Let's invite the third speaker of the proposing team. Over to you, sir.
Honorable judges, the esteemed opposition, and ladies and gentlemen present. Tonight, we are talking clarity. We are here for an intellectual debate. We are not here for a race. As my captain and second speaker mentioned, in 2021, companies like LinkedIn, Google, and Twitch rolled out extended wellness week for their staff. It sounded like a really nice idea until things started falling apart. Deadlines were missed, users were frustrated, targets weren't hit. Safe to say, we made a point. And if that does not continue, esteemed opposition, just listen to Laszlo, the former SVP of People Operations at Google. In an interview with the New York Times, he says, well-being is important, but if it comes at the cost of speed and innovation, you lose your edge. The esteemed opposition, here's the inconvenient truth. Well-being without execution is not a strategy. It's rather expensive self-care. And to be very clear, we're not dismissing well-being at all. But when it's prioritized over your core goals and business objective, ladies and gentlemen, deadlines with productivity stores, and suddenly you have a team of perfect well-being but with zero finished output. Now, responding to what the esteemed opposition claimed, the esteemed captain of the opposition tried to be very convinced about how well-being builds a better culture for the organization. But the great places to work, the exact source that they quote said, define strong culture through credibility, respect, fairness, and leadership. Nowhere, I stress nowhere on that list you will find things like work-life flexibility, counseling sessions, or free memberships. Although we were not given a very clear introduction on what well-being actually is, I would like to say that a toxic workplace with a medication room, it's still a toxic workplace. On that note, the esteemed first speaker of the opposition also claimed that well-being programs reduce burnout and boost mental health in the organization. Responding to that, companies are spending billions and billions in the organization in the name of well-being. Now, if you actually look at it, burnout is still rising as our captain clearly presented. On the other hand, because the problem is not a lack of wellness perks or lack of wellness kit in the organization. The problem is poor workload management, lack of support, and unclear priorities. So I'm sure we understand that well-being doesn't have a direct impact on these problems. And on the other note, the esteemed captain of the opposition also mentioned that well-being and business goals can go hand in hand. They are mutually reinforcing. Responding to that, they are mutually reinforcing, but if it has a balance. According to the paradox of employee well-being practices, the more companies try to optimize both well-being and performance, the more conflict they create. It's not that they are incompatible. It's that both can't be main focus at once. Ladies and gentlemen, execution requires urgency, and well-being, on the other hand, oftentimes it requires slowing down. Now, if everything is priority, nothing actually is, ladies and gentlemen. The esteemed opposition also claimed that prioritizing well-being creates psychological safety in their organization. You know what really makes employees feel safe? Trusting the process, trusting the system. It comes from leadership that is clear, consistent, fair, and competitive. Safety is built through trust, and it's not just through comfort in the name of well-being, or rather expensive self-care. If well-being is used to shield people from pressure, it backfires. It definitely does at one point. Employees won't feel safe. They will feel uncertain about their organization, because when expectations are unclear, anxiety increases. True safety is knowing what success looks like and what it takes to get there, not the easiest way to get there. Now, I'd like to conclude my speech with a little example. Last Monday, I was hungry, just 2 days back. I was craving pizza, and I went to Pizza Hut page to check if they had any promos or offers going on. And I came across this Facebook post that said, "We're giving our team a well-deserved break today, 19th of May 2025. See you again on the 20th of May. Sorry for the inconvenience caused." Okay, but I'm still hungry. So I went to Domino's page. Not only they were open, but they had very attractive posts. They also had an offer with 70 new flavors on the Cheesy Delicious Festival, and the post that said, "The only pizza oven open today." Ladies and gentlemen, to be very clear, and the opposition to be very clear, I'm not talking about the marketing here. We're talking about business objective. Now, if you look at the business objective point of view, it's easy to track or rather measure how much revenue Pizza Hut would have possibly lost that night. And it's also easy to measure how much revenue Domino's would have probably gained during that night. My question is, here's the catch. Now, how do we measure with what that did break do for Pizza Hut employees? I mean, did it really help them? Do you think it really helped them? Because there's no data point, there's no yardstick to prove that. No graph that shows peace of mind or burnout in that organization. Ladies and gentlemen, here's what we're really arguing tonight. Well-being minus revenue versus well-being with clear clarity on business objectives. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Joshua. May I have the third speaker of the opposing team, over to you, sir.
Snap back to reality, I would say. We are not in the 1920s or the 1960s where we thought humans are machines. We can use them whenever we want, and at time we feel like discarding them, we can get discarded them. No, my friends, let me again snap you back to reality. We are in 2025, we are in a knowledge economy. We are in an economy where we really treat our humans as the center in terms of driving excellence. And again, rephrasing on what we are discussing today, as our motion still stands, prioritizing employee well-being does not conflict with business objectives. So let me rebut some of the points that was mentioned from our opposing team. Let me start off with the captain herself. Madam, you were saying that you need to focus on the business, you need to make sure that the time is lost. There are so many aspects that's happening when you're really focusing on business but not on well-being. But let me give you a news flash. Well-being had worked as well. So you're quoting number of examples. Let me also tell you one. Microsoft Japan had implemented a good 4-day work plan where they have increased to see a 40% increase in productivity. Increase in productivity, I'm sure, results in good results, and yeah, so it works. Let me quote few more. So if you look at what the World Economic Forum had said, organizations prioritizing well-being outperform financially by 20 to 30%. Again, you were talking about the business not being able to perform. I hope I kind of explained what that means. Moving on further, I've heard that from the first and the second speaker that this is very expensive. And well-being is something that you really put to the table, and there's a lot of cost. It's a nice fluff to have, but let me get back to the reality. Yes, you guys also, in contradiction, actually agreed that burnout is a problem. You guys never address the fact that you really need to address the issue here. Why employee burnout is an issue? Because well-being is not being looked after. Alright? So, again, there is another one element that our proposing team kind of keeps forgetting. It's a matter of how you implementing it. It's not just the well-being is actually contradicting and in terms conflicting with business objectives. Again, what I'm trying to state is that it's actually not conflicting, it's actually supporting it. It's propelling it to accelerate even further. Let me give you a couple of more. So you were, I think the second speaker was stating the Gallup study on workplace and that it's really not helping the business, it's really frustrating it. Let me quote the 2025, the latest report. It says high well-being equals 43% lower turnout. Less turnout is better for the business. And sorry for the turnover. Moving further, let me again restate. This is an ongoing problem if you really don't address. We do see Gen Zs leaving. 89% of the Gen Zs leave organization where well-being is not being looked after. Again and again, I'm trying to drive the same point which we were trying to restate. It's that well-being is not just for people, you know, and it is mostly in terms of catering to the fact that these humans are the centers of us growing a business, and you really need to take care of your people, because ultimately what you're proposing is that we look into a business where there is strategy, where there is a business objective. You're talking about a tactical plan that happens every day, and you believe who's going to take care of this? Do you really want people who are burnt out, who are really pressurized, who are having so many problems in their day-to-day life, and you expect your human resource department to look into you? They are not just to give you a payroll. There's so much more elements that you bring in. And in that context, my friend, I will give you a few more examples. Now, our captain also brought in the project Aristotle by Google. This is a study that's done where it shows psychological safety is the #1 performer for a team. It's done on 180 people, and it proves that there is an element where you really focus on well-being, you can really bring the performance. So I believe most of the first, second, and the third speakers were saying that performance has been undermined just because you're looking at well-being. I believe I kind of ensure that that's not the fact. I'll bring in another example. So you were stating that KPIs and pressures, and you really need this. I think the third speaker very nicely stated that, you know, if you don't have revenue, you may lose business, and ultimately the fellow employees that we were trying to protect, they will not have a job. My friend, you're delusional. You really need to ensure that employees are looked after so that your business grows with your employees. There is no context where the employees are on one side and the business is growing by itself. It doesn't work that way, my friend. All right, so with that, let me tell you something. See, my friends, you were saying that this is again the reality. We are in a knowledge economy. We are in an economy where things are changing rapidly, including the younger opponents we have on the upper side. Everybody is going through different problems. So we need to address that as humans. And at the same time, let me again rephrase and reconfirm that prioritizing employee well-being, of course, does not conflict with the business objectives, but it accelerates the growth. Thank you.
Thank you. Applause to the judges a moment. Move on to the fourth round. I invite the fourth speaker of the proposing team. Over to you, madam.
Shall we pause productivity? Pausing productivity. What am I trying to get at? Picture this. It's Monday morning, the office is buzzing, deadlines are rolling in faster than our first cup of coffee, and everyone's running on adrenaline and ambition. Now imagine HR walks in and announces that today we are cancelling all the meetings and targets because we are having a Zumba session to prioritize on well-being. Sounds nice, right? Until you remember that markets don't stop and competitors won't stop hitting targets. They don't take breaks. And last time I checked, Zumba sessions won't sign new client contracts or hit monthly targets. Because here's the thing, prioritizing on well-being sounds great if your goal is to have the happiest company that never hits targets. So let's dive right into the heart of the case tonight. The esteemed third speaker from the opposition stated that 89% of Gen Zs are leaving companies. But retention without the right reasons is just another longer stay in the wrong job, which is why Gen Zs are leaving. The esteemed second and third speaker from the opposition stated that well-being programs reduce burnout and boost mental health, and they opposed the argument as well. Companies are spending billions, but burnout is still rising as clearly defined by our captain. So the real problem here isn't lack of wellness perks. It's about poor workload management, lack of support, and unclear priorities. The esteemed captain from the opposition stated an example, the definition from Armstrong. Let me give you a definition from Armstrong. According to Armstrong's Handbook of Human Resource Management Practice, Chapter 59, page 976, there are 3 reasons why organizations should be concerned about employee well-being. Duty of care, as part of the total reward system, to increase the likelihood of commitment, likelihood of employee commitment. So tonight's motion asks us whether prioritizing well-being conflicts with business objectives. If well-being only increases the likelihood of employee commitment, why do we prioritize well-being when there are enough and more other alternatives, enough and more other initiatives that proves us returns, whereas well-being just doesn't tell us that it delivers the results? Because that is ROI that you can bank on. No ands, no ifs, no likelihoods. The esteemed second speaker from the opposition stated that well-being programs make teams more agile and reduce absenteeism. Great Place to Work's 2022 Workplace Wellness Index report finds that companies topping the wellness charts experience slower decision-making and reduced agility, a liability, not an asset, especially in fast-moving industries. The esteemed second speaker from the opposition stated that well-being focuses and boosts innovation. Well, real innovation comes from R&D budgets, not counseling sessions. Put money into labs, prototypes, and trial runs. Those dollars lead straight into new products, new innovations, and patents. If you want breakthroughs, fund your engineers instead of funding your counselors. So, well, prioritizing well-being is like putting cushions onto your treadmill and wondering, why aren't you getting anywhere? The esteemed opposition has been speaking exhaustively about prioritizing well-being, how it helps long-term success, how it helps productivity. Have you heard the quote, "Customer is the king"? Keep your employees happy. We are not against well-being. To reiterate, we are not against well-being. The esteemed captain and the second speaker stated that whether we are here to debate about well-being conflicting with business objectives. No, we are here to debate about prioritizing well-being. So, keep your employees happy, we are all for it, but we need to know what to prioritize. The esteemed, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure all of us have heard the famous quote by Sun Tzu, "Keep your friends close and your enemies closer." Well, I'm here to give a small spin to it. Keep your employees happy, but your customers happier. Now think about it. Think about the example brought in by our third speaker. Pizza Hut kept their employees happy, but Domino's kept their customers happier. So to the esteemed fourth speaker from the opposition, I pose these questions. Why do high-performing companies thrive under pressure? Why are the most relaxed companies not the most profitable? And if comfort drives success, why do top industries demand hard work? We await your answers. Thank you.
Thank you. May I invite the fourth speaker of the opposing team, over to you, sir.
Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, my esteemed panel of judges, our wonderful audience, and dear time travelers from the opposition who are disguised as Gen Zs and millennials. Your fifth speaker should have been Milton Friedman. He's whispering in your ear, profits, stakeholders, shareholders first. My dear opposition, let me reiterate the topic. Prioritizing employee well-being does not conflict with business objectives. You all seem to think that well-being prioritizes over business objectives. No, business objectives remain same, well-being remains same. Whether there is an inherent correlation. That is what we are talking about, not putting well-being above business objectives. No. And you seem to think that if there's a well-being program in a company, that means we are very laid back. We come to work at whatever time we want, we go home whenever we want. No. Don't get that mistaken. And look, we are talking at this hallowed ground of CIPM, we are talking about human resources. We have this inherent thing called a brain. We don't employ any well-being program without thinking about the effect it has on the objectives of the business. And you seem to think everything has a cost. There's a big spectrum from a pat on the back to a listening ear to a conducive work culture, and then the yogas, the zumbas, the gyms, what you're talking about, the expensive. That is the whole spectrum of well-being, not about these whole expensive things you're talking about. So depending on the maturity and the financial strength of an organization, the human resources can think and decide what kind of program to implement. Now, to rebut, you're talking about the cost for well-being. Yes, there's a cost, but we look at the return. Where our captain and everyone spoke about the return. There's a very well-defined Johnson & Johnson study. For every dollar that is invested, 2.71 return. Don't forget about the return. You're just talking about what you're putting into it. Look at what you get back in return. And then, my dear fourth speaker, you were talking about how your captain defines something. Your captain's definition doesn't matter anything here. You have to give citations. You coming, I'm sure you're very learned, but your definitions doesn't count for anything here. Now, your captain was talking about wellness as opposed to what we're talking about well-being. Wellness is just a sub-function of well-being, right? And you said it's good, but it causes tension. My dear learner friends, we've shown plenty of arguments where well-being initiatives have caused real-world business outcomes elevation. Now, let me talk about what happens if you don't have it. Whatever you don't prioritize, you sweep it under the rug. Now, I'll give you an example from Uber. There was a toxic work culture. Managers were groping females. There was one subordinate who was told by a manager, I'll hit you over the head with a bat if you don't achieve the targets. Is that the kind of work culture you're talking about? Performance first? Psychological safety. My goodness. You guys are creating something without hygiene. Again, like I said the other day, without hygiene, you get festering septic organizational rot. You're talking about an infected organization. Now, again, my dear colleagues from the opposition, let me give you another example. What happens when you sweep well-being under the rug? Amazon. Toxic work culture, double the times of occupational injuries. They didn't give a toss about what was happening to their workforce. They went through the entire workforce of Arizona. They didn't have anyone to hire. Now, I'll give you another example. Sports Direct from UK. They were hauled in front of the parliament and they were called a Victorian manufacturing era type of facility. Now, that is what happens when you don't prioritize well-being, right? You sweep it under the rug. Whatever you don't prioritize, you sweep it under the rug. And also, now, you are always talking about Gallup. Gallup, you're quoting a 2021 study, whereas we brought you the 2025. There's a clear correlation of reduced turnover, more productivity when you put well-being first, priority. Again, let me reiterate what you guys were saying. You guys were of the view that something very expensive, well-being over business objectives. No. This is what we're talking about. The playing field has been set for us by the judges. If we were at liberty to, define the playing field, we would have done so. But it's about the causal relation between prioritizing well-being and business objectives, right? Whether you're supposed to show, it conflicts. You're not saying, it's nice, it's lukewarm, let's not, prioritize, and objectives are there. So, as I land my speech, my dear learned opposition, human resources comes with the brain. Not all well-being programs cost money, right? And the topic was prioritizing well-being and not over business objectives. So having said that, no, we are not going to board your time machine and come back with you to the 1970s. We have booked 5-star tickets in the vessel that we call employee well-being. So we have clearly stated employee well-being, prioritize, shows, definite enhancement of business objectives. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give applause to the judges moment. Right. let's summarize the debate, and on behalf of the opposing team and by the captain, sir, you have 6 minutes. Over to you.
Thank you. Good evening again, ladies and gentlemen. Our key arguments of our case was that well-being aligns with the business objectives and will be more productive. And cultures that prioritize well-being will attract the topmost performers. When people feel safe, they take more intelligent risks and good decisions and generate new ideas. Well-being reduces hidden costs. A thriving workforce often offer superior customer service, and ESG and investor value increases when the well-being is looked after in companies. We have proven the above 6 core examples and our thesis with so many different examples given by my second and third and fourth speaker. And we have, of course, gone into the academia and gone to a Diner, Cartwright, Seligman, Keyes, Daniel Pink, and all research which direct well-being complements business performance and objectives. A business will not implement a human resource plan that would conflict its vision, mission, and business objectives. So because business organizations are not NGOs, we are not gyms, we are not spas, we are profit-oriented companies bringing out profit-bringing plans and enhancing our workforce to maximize profit only. If any company does something against that, that is not a profit-making company, that is not a proper business. And when we look into the core arguments of our proposing team, I think the opposition case is flawed. They did not present credible enough examples. All examples which were given, I suspect that they have suppressed or concealed the flaws, such as the business planning aspects of it, product efficiency and market advertising strategies. Those things were concealed. And if I am to quote some of these examples that our proposing team produced, they said that recognizing well-being is good, but prioritizing it is the issue. So let me give you some real-life examples where they recognized and prioritized well-being, and let's see what the business outcomes were. Google, they implemented on-site healthcare, mental health support, flexible working hours, generous parental leave, healthy meals, personal development programs, and what was the result? Google is known for high employee satisfaction and retention. Google consistently ranks among the best places to work. Then what about Salesforce? Emphasis on mental health, flexible remote work, wellness reimbursement, inclusive work culture was implemented. What was the result? They achieved rapid growth, industry leadership in their industry, and regularly appears on Fortune's best companies and best companies to work list. So Adobe, there's another example, but let me move on to the next. Where our opposition team said that it reduces speed. My third speaker definitely countered it very well with several examples provided of how more efficiency has been achieved through different searches and citations given. And then there was an argument which said that some of these companies, when they give the employee well-being benefits, that most people are not using it. But let me give you those examples that I've already given before. And in that, it was Google, Salesforce, Adobe. They have implemented it, and all the workers have happily embraced the wellness programs. And then when we go on to state some of the major flaws in the argument and case, so well-being comes at the cost of business objectives. That's what they said. No, a company never does that. All companies will implement only successful wellness plans. And those examples were given once again. Wellness is ineffective, so it comes at a cost of speed and innovation. So those things also, that argument was also countered with the examples given by me and my teammates. And they also said that a toxic workplace will always be a toxic workplace. Wrong. That is why wellness is implemented. Inclusive, understanding working cultures are implemented. That is totally wrong, my friends. And the third speaker said that they are mutually reinforcing But if it has a balance, now what are mutually reinforcing? Prioritizing well-being and business objectives. The third speaker said that they are mutually reinforcing. They agreed with us. But if it has a balance, what we say is not only a balance, it has to have strategy which empowers the company to go on its sustenance, growth and profitability and wellness and success as a company. Now, then our fourth speaker also told about some pausing of productivity. My dear friend, that's what happens on poor days and Sundays. So just because you implement a wellness program once a month, you can't just value that as something that which is causing a pause in productivity. Humans need some time to refresh and be back in the positive 100% work as a positive 100% effective and productive workforce. This is why wellness is there, my friends. So, employee well-being is not an addition to your business strategy. It's not an addition to your business strategy. It is your business strategy. You have to make sure that the employees, your core resource, is healthy, well, and fit and motivated to perform. As Ulrich himself declared, you can't win the marketplace unless you win in the workplace. To argue that well-being compromises business objectives is like suggesting that oxygen compromises breathing efficiency. It's absurd, it's dangerous. So to this house, I say, if you want a productive workforce, make them well. If you want resilient business, make it human. If you want to hit your targets, start by making sure your people can stand upright and be safe. Because in this economy, in this country, and in this debate, wellness is not the enemy of the business, it is the soul of the business. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The judges. To summarize the debate on behalf of the proposing team and by the captain, and Madam, you have 6 minutes as well. Over to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it seems the opposition has cracked the code. Forget strategy. Forget innovation. Excuse me for a moment, can I fix this fast? Yeah. Yeah, should be fine.
Right, thank you. Over to you, Madam.
Ladies and gentlemen, as I was saying, it seems the opposition tonight has cracked the code. Because forget strategy, forget profits, forget competitive advantage. Apparently, business success hinges on mindfulness, financial practices, and occasional napot. What a time to be alive! But we work in corporate, remember? The one with deadlines, the one with stakeholder pressure, the one with profits. Throughout our case tonight, we have shown you real-world examples, LinkedIn, Twitch, Bumble, where wellness initiatives, though well-meaning, directly disrupted business outcomes. Our second speaker demonstrated that when well-being becomes a top priority, core business objectives, profitability, value, growth, they all slow down. Our third and fourth speakers dismantled all the core arguments brought up by the opposition tonight. And we backed all of this with real-world data from Delaware, from the Harvard Business Review, and from established HR papers. And now I would like to tackle a few arguments brought forth by the opposition tonight. Starting with the esteemed captain. In your closing, you said, and this is a direct quote, that the opposition's case is flawed. The opposition's. I'm confused. Isn't your team the opposition tonight? And are you admitting that your case is flawed? And if then yes, 100% we agree too. Next, esteemed fourth speaker, thank you for the kind reminder on human anatomy that we all possess brains. So let me use the wonderful cognitive function of memory in our brains to remind you that, like you said, we didn't pull our definitions tonight out of thin air. We backed our definitions from the Harvard Business Review, Johns Hopkins University, and Great Place to Work, and I did that in my opening. Festering septic organizational rot. What a statement, esteemed fourth speaker. Well, here's the thing. Festering septic organizational rot is when you don't prioritize what's important. And what's important, ladies and gentlemen, is internal processes, sustainable growth, and financials. Also, esteemed fourth speaker, you said, what we don't prioritize, we sweep under the rug. No, we bring priorities out from under the rug and into the light, and those priorities, like I said before, are stuff like financials, internal processes, sustainable growth. Esteemed fourth speaker, you also called us time travelers, and esteemed third speaker, you asked us to snap back to reality, and we're not in the 1960s and 1980s. Well, wasn't it the opposition who opened the debate tonight with May 11th, 1886? Back in the streets where workers were out demanding for better working conditions. Great history lesson. Well, here's the thing, like you said, we've come a long, long way from 1886. And like you said, we are now in a knowledge-based economy where we have remote work, flexi hours, and in today's context, if we prioritize the whims of employee well-being over the profitability, stakeholder interest over bottom line, there won't be businesses left for employees to come and demand well-being from. Esteemed Captain, in your opening you said, what company would conflict its mission or its vision with business objectives? 100% agreed. But my problem is what mission or vision statement would have employee perks on it, stuff like Zumba sessions, flexi hours and all that, or coffee shots for engagement, all of that in their mission or vision statement. Esteemed second speaker, and then throughout the opposition tonight, we had an exhaustive list of examples. Johnson & Johnson, Microsoft, then you got in Google. My problem with that is all of this are billion-dollar conglomerates. For them, prioritizing well-being, not a problem. Tell me, how do you prioritize well-being for a startup, for a small business, whose key priorities is getting to break-even point and balancing their bottom line? How do you do that for small or medium businesses? Esteemed third speaker, in your speech, you spoke about Gen Zs leaving their jobs, you inside a percentage, because they're not being looked after by well-being initiatives. Well, all four on our team tonight are Gen Zs. And I can confidently tell you that we, like you said, the younger opponents on the opposite side of the house, as third speaker so convenient to put, we would choose a job with experience, proper pay, and promotions over the lavish well-being initiatives. Esteemed third speaker, you also spoke about, you said that we framed well-being as expensive, and you called it fluff. Well, it's not fluff, it's the Harvard Business Review, and it says it's indeed expensive because it will reach 94.6 billion USD in 2026. But let's be clear, ladies and gentlemen, we are not against employee well-being once again. We are against prioritizing it when it directly conflicts with business objectives. Because what happens when all these happy people don't meet their targets? Do they get that pay raise, the promotion, the security? Or do they all get free smoothies and a gentle reminder to practice gratitude? Now, ladies and gentlemen, we rest our case tonight. So I'm going to embody their well-being and take a deep breath. But regardless, our motion still stands. Prioritizing employee well-being conflicts with business objectives, and no amount of breath work or well-being will change the facts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. So friends, I think the first semi-final, and what an amazing semi-final it has been. Worthy of a final, can we have a big round of applause for EdgeConnect International? And of course, Hemas Hospitals, the appointing team on ground floor. So Yoma, the IPL is back. So while the IPL is looking for a team for the fourth slot, we are looking for a team that will make it to the final. We'll come back, give the judges a moment, and then we'll find which team takes it to the final. Thank you, and let's go. So may I invite the chair of the panel of judges, Professor Roshan, to give some feedback and also give us a opinion as well. Over to you, madam.
Thank you. So it was a very good debate, very interesting points discussed, and both teams performed very well. And it was very difficult decision for the team to make also. But with much difficulty, we decided that the team that would go to the next round would be Hemas.
So friends, a big round of applause for Connect International. And of course, the winner and will go to the final. Congratulations for Hemas Hospital. Anything from the panel of judges which you feel that, I'm talking about both teams, where you feel they can do one notch better? Vasant, anything you want to add? Any comments, anything you feel? Because I think the next stage is the final, so anything you want to, any improvements?
One thing that I thought, that I saw in one of the debates and thought was very well done, that you can also learn from, was having a proper argument. The whole thing follows a very logical argument that is reiterated and followed and sticking to. And also the last speakers have a big role to play in rebutting very clearly the points that other teams made. So that is also very important.
Thank you. So friends, a big round of applause for our judges. Thank you so much. Right. So friends, we'll give CIPM a few minutes to reset and we'll come back with the second semi-final. We have commercial taking on the most, should be another crack of a debate. Thank you. had Hemas hospitals make it to the final, and today we have another two wonderful teams. Put your hands together for Commercial Bank of Ceylon and DIMO PLC. So probably in the next 1 hour, we will know which team will also join Hemas Hospital on the 2nd of June at the grand stage. Right, so I think rules are very common. I think we have had 3 rounds of debates, quarterfinal, both teams obviously won their quarterfinal. And let's see, we'll just quickly do a recap of the rules and then we will move directly into the debate. So once again, I think timing is important. We had a few speakers who pushed the time limit in the first debate. How many marks or minus, I don't know, but let's not go down that road. So because this is the semi-final, and whatever is said has to be said in that specific time. So the time given to you is 5 minutes, and please both teams try to stick to the 5 minutes. You have another 1 minute of grace to land your speech, not to bring in new topics, or if you feel that there is one more point you need to make, don't make that point, pass it to the next person so that that person can actually take up that point first before the debate is done, right? So please 5:15, remind us to be given at 5, 5:15, 5:30, 5:45 and then 6. So time is important. The reason I'm saying this is even on the grand stage you will understand we have a limited time to run the debate. So we can't overshoot them. So we need to stick to time, and likewise today I think is a good dress rehearsal for the final where let's stick to time as well. In terms of code of conduct, once again, we have had some clean debates, we have had some good quality debates, so likewise we'll look forward to another good debate today as well. So behave in a respectful manner towards the participants, guests, sponsors of the debate. Abide by the laws of the land, abide by the laws of the organizing committee and CIPM. Don't make any insulting comments about a person's race, religion, culture, gender or sexual orientation. Don't make any offensive remarks about the opponent's organization. So hopefully we will not see any examples of Commercial Bank of Ceylon or DIMO PLC, good or bad. The reason I'm saying good or bad is if you say something good, chances are the bad will come from the other side. Yes, so don't quote any examples for Commercial Bank or DIMO just for today's debate. Right? Of course, after the debate, all the examples can be quoted. Right. Also, in terms of don't use any profane language, crosstalk, let's avoid it. Also, I would request the audience also please respect the debating team. Keep your phone switched off. If you are walking out, please walk out in the break. Don't walk out when the person is speaking. Who is going to become the next mayor? Let's not go there. That's political discussion. So we'll talk about that after the debate. Yeah. Also, I think in terms of we have had clean debates over the last. These are 36 debates we're having here. So I think we have had good debates. We have had people who push the boundaries of the debate, right? But no one has crossed it. So likewise, I would advise don't push the boundaries today. It is a semi-final, so let's be sensitive to each other's companies and other reasons as well, right? Any questions you want to clarify? Anything you want to ask? Commercial, good to go? DIMO, good to go? All right. Okay, so we also have a wonderful panel of judges. So she is our chairperson of the judging panel. She is a senior professor, Department of HRM of the University of Colombo. Put hands together for Professor Arosha Alkali. She is a senior lecturer. He is a senior lecturer, law faculty of law, University of Colombo. Put your hands together for Professor A. Sarveswaran. She is the head group human resources and legal of the Helis Group. Put your hands together for Ms. Darshita Hemas. She is the Group Human Resource Officer of Janshakti Group. Put your hands together for Ms. Vasanthi Steven. And she is the Group Chief People Officer, Hela Apparel Clothing. Put your hands together for Ms. Devina Khan. Alright, so good to go. So battle lines have been drawn, teams have been introduced, judges have been introduced. Nice to see audience here watching the debate as well. We are live, so I think everything is set. We invite the proposing captain and over to you, sir.
Honorable judges, respected opponents, my esteemed audience. Today, we stand firmly in the support of the motion. Employer branding is only a marketing strategy and does not help to drive talent attraction. Now, at the first glance, employer branding sounds like a magic wand that really grabs the talent out of that employee group. With glossy brochures, vibrant social media campaigns, and catchy slogans, it all looks really, really impressive. But let me show you the real truth. Now, employer branding at the core, we would say, it's a marketing tool, a carefully crafted image designed to sell a dream rather than deliver substance. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce employer branding, adapted from Bacchus and Chiku, 2004. Employer branding is a strategic process of communicating an organization's value proposition to a defined target audience of current and potential employees with the purpose of positioning the company as an employer of choice in the labor market. Now, the components that fall under the employee value proposition are company culture, compensation, benefits, as well as career development. What is marketing strategy? Well, of course, the father of modern marketing, Sir Philip Kotler, said, a marketing strategy is a plan that identifies the target market, value proposition, and the means by which a company will communicate value to customers and achieve competitive advantage. Even the definitions itself tells the story. Now, employee branding, does it really show the real picture of an organization? Wow, a chocolate cake! My goodness, I love chocolate cakes. I want to have a piece, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, the middle part is vanilla. I'm really disappointed. This is what employer branding is, ladies and gentlemen. It shows a chocolate cake, but deep inside it's not what we expect. It's something. So let me prove this to you with various examples. Well, this, of course, can be proven from employee engagement and experience. I would say that all you see is positive and all the negative experiences are being hit. Now, this can be proven from Activision Blizzard, the very famous Call of Duty game created 2021. Something happened, that is, while externally promoting a fun, exclusive gaming culture, internally it was exposed as toxic, discriminatory environment with widespread harassment and disengagement. Are they authentic? Another example for reward and pay in terms. So Amazon 2021. Yes, can you remember when the employee competition, the taking employees were in a hike? So what they did was they really advertised here, we are giving the best pay and all. But once you stepped in, once the employer stepped in, my goodness, is the target even achievable? Is it a smart goal? Come on. Where is the transparency at first? Well, let me bring about the career progressions and growth. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the promised career progression, once you step in, it's totally different in many cases. Let me take some two renowned employers like Google and Uber. Well, of course, when you go there, they're told that you have a fast-tracked career progression, but still, internal reports reveal promotions were based on favoritism and to protect high toxic performance. And the story told does not match the experience given, ladies and gentlemen. Where is the consistency in that? Do you have enough examples to prove that the employer branding discloses employee exit experience? Now, I would like to take you back for the Elon Musk. When he joined and took over Twitter, he really laid off 50% of employees. That is 3,700 employees just gone home. No emails, no notification, no prior notification, no exit interviews, no structured offboarding. Come on, where is the genuine organizational values? So, my dear ladies and gentlemen, employer branding is lacking the authenticity, consistency, transparency, and genuine organizational values, which are the key pillars. Without those, it is just marketing. So far, I have proved that employer branding is a marketing strategy. So let me also prove the branding doesn't attract talent. Now, paraphrased by Armstrong, chapter 25, the real organizational goals. Talent attraction is a strategy and evidence-based HR strategies that involves actively sourcing, engaging, and recruiting the right talent through market intelligence, workforce planning, and candidate experience management, far beyond the surface of the employer brand campaigns. My second speaker will elaborate talent sourcing, job design and role clarity, compensation and benefits planning, recruitment process design, HR compliance and policies, referral programs, and use of technology. So, ladies and gentlemen, organizations focus excessively on projecting a polished employer brand to an external market while neglecting to address the internal cultures. So, employer branding is undeniably a marketing strategy, a tool enhanced by a company to create on its message. So, thus, talent attraction requires authentic experience, competitive rewards, and meaningful culture. So, it cannot be a substitute for marketing. So I strongly affirm the employer branding is only a marketing strategy and does not help to drive talent attraction. Thank you.
Thank you. Can give a round of applause. Give the judges a moment before we move on to the next speaker. By the captain of the opposing team, over to you, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are here not just to oppose a ridiculous motion, but also to stand against something that does not actually make sense and is divorced from the modern traditional workplace. Employer branding is just a marketing strategy. Can you have your face straight and still say that? When did marketing start talking about how people feel at work, what helps them grow, and what makes them stay? These are people practices, not marketing. So it's clearly not marketing. Now, today's topic has a few important elements, of which the first one is talent. It refers to individuals who can make a significant difference to organizational performance, either through their immediate contribution or by reaching their potential. That is CIPD's definition. Employer branding is a set of attributes and qualities, often intangible, that makes an organization distinctive, promises a particular kind of employment experience, and appeals to the people who will thrive and perform best in its culture. That also from CIPD. Marketing strategy from Philip Kotler is the process of creating, communicating, and delivering values to a target market at a profit. Now, let's be clear. Employee branding uses tactics from marketing, but it is not marketing alone. Now, what is it then? It is more than that, because what is a job ad? Is a LinkedIn video, a flashy career site. These are all instruments and not intent. So what is the real intent? What is the truth? The truth, ladies and gentlemen, let's be clear, employer branding is first and foremost a people strategy. It is a people strategy that defines the people experience of an organization. It is a people experience that defines who comes into the organization, who stays in your organization, and who delivers your results. Let's also take a look at this from a deeper perspective to understand that this is not only a marketing strategy. According to a study by LinkedIn, strong employer brand experiences a 43% decrease in cost per hire. Now that's cost rescaling and organizational effectiveness. A study by Randstad revealed that 50% of candidates would not work for a company with a bad reputation, even with a higher salary. Now that's to do with loyalty. Employees who trust their employers are significantly more likely to advocate on their behalf, stay loyal, and be engaged as per Edelman. That's to do with retention. Now, Harvard Business School says that companies that prioritize employer branding often experience enhanced shareholder value, as strong capabilities contribute to more stable and predictive cash flow. Now, that's financial and revenue strategy. According to Universum's 2022 report, 78% of talent leaders consider employer branding a critical strategy to remain competitive, especially during economic slowdowns. Now, that's risk management strategy. When employer branding is as complicated as this and spreads its luxuriant branches across cross-scaling, loyalty, retention, finance strategy, and risk management, it is ridiculous to say that it needs to be put inside the container of just a marketing strategy. I think that argument needs to go out of the window right away. Now, getting to the second part of this motion, the second part of this flawed statement tonight, which is to say employer branding does not help attract talent. Now, to do away with that, we've got a comprehensive model that we will build our case on. Our team will go on to build our case on this model. It has three hypotheses. Hypothesis one, employer branding is a marketing strategy, which we will prove anyway, because we have to say it's more than a marketing strategy. Employer branding is more than a marketing strategy, which I've gone into absolute depth so far. And a third hypothesis is that employer branding helps drive talent attraction. Now, to prove that, we're going to do it through three powerful angles. Angle number one is employer branding communicates the value that talent is looking for. So talent is looking for something. We argue and we'll go on to prove that employer branding actually serves that. Second one is increase in talent attraction driven by employer branding activities. So we will go on to see a before and after effect. What happens to the landscape of talent within the organization and the talent that the organization attracts after they get into employer branding activities. And of course, the third one, employer branding widens the talent pool, attracting diverse applications. Now, we understand that in any community, talent hides within the community, within the crowd. So we argue and we will go on to prove that employer branding widens the scope, hits the entire community and the crowd, by which hitting talent too. So by proving all our three hypotheses through these powerful three angles, we will go on to establish that employer branding is more than a marketing strategy. And in addition to that, it also goes into absolute depth and in detail show that it helps attract talent. Now, what does it mean for the opposition tonight? Ladies and gentlemen, if they're to win tonight's debate, they have a Herculean task ahead. They must convince this room that employer branding is nothing more than a hollow marketing gimmick. Nothing more than a hollow marketing gimmick. Not strategy, not HR, not culture, just marketing full stop. They have to say that because that is what their topic is. Employer branding is just a marketing strategy. If we go on to prove anything more, we win tonight's debate. Also, not only that, they must prove with a straight face that employer branding has never, in any form, shape or whisper, helped attract talent. Not once, not ever, not directly, not indirectly, not through employee campaigns, social media, employee advocacy, or Glassdoor ratings. Now, we have two important terms. Help does not mean we have to drive employee talent. We only need to support it. And attract means not recruiting, not acquisition. I think you used the word acquisition here and there. It's not about acquisition. We only need to help and attract. Even the slightest bit, we win the debate. And anything that you don't prove against that, your motion tonight will fall. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you give a round of applause? And we'll be the judges who. May I invite the second speaker of the proposing team? Over to you, madam.
Good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. Imagine walking into a beautifully branded office, vibrant walls, smiling faces on posters. Imagine one week after, walking out, disappointed, disengaged. Why? Why is that? Because the promise made by the employee branding wasn't taken as a reality. Therefore, I confirm our motion. Employer branding is only a marketing strategy, does not help to drive talent attraction as proven by HR strategies. Today, I have 7 HR strategies as stated by Captain. Number 1, talent resourcing. Actively searching for candidates via job boards, social media. This is the proactive search for qualified job candidates. A leading French multinational company in Capgemini, in their annual report, has explained 400% of contract headcounts was increased and 18% of cost of advertising decreased. Number 2, job design and clarity. Well-designed roles attract candidates with the right expectation. Netflix doesn't rely on branding or perks to attract talents. Each role has a clear expectation, deliverables, and autonomy. And my point number 3, compensation and benefits. We all know Hemas holdings in Sri Lanka. They are a very attractive organization. They give transportation, they give subsidies for meals, and that has attracted people. A warehouse retailer, Costco, is not typically seen as a dream employee, but The employer pays. That pay is higher than what Walmart and Target pays. They offer health insurance and retirement plans, even for part-timers. There are regular raises and internal promotions. Effective compensation strategies always motivate and retain their employees. Strategy number 4, recruitment process design. Recruitment is a strategic HR function on attracting, sourcing, assessing and hiring the right person to meet the organizational needs. Use data and validation studies show transparency, genuineness, authenticity and consistency, the core values in an organization. Always the classic example can be taken as Google. They incorporated hiring excellence long before becoming the dream company. Number 5, compliance and policies. Organizations always ensure fairness and reduce risk. Johnson & Johnson, a legacy company balancing compliance with innovation, enforce equal opportunity, employees, anti-harassment, and always better hiring practices, strong appeals for diverse international talents. Applicants value and consistency and fairness employment brand. Number 6 strategy is referral programs. Cisco Systems, global leader in networking and cybersecurity, has long embraced employee referrals. Friends of Cisco program encourage talent attraction, as a result, faster onboarding in a success. Number 7, use of technology, advanced tracking systems as a tool for improving efficiency and candidate management. Global professional service firm Deloitte receive thousands of applications in each year. To track Deloitte, they have implemented advanced tracking systems. I strongly believe that Harvard Business Review, Why Authenticity Matters, has explained by Goffey and Jones in 2015. Gen Z and millennials and most of the employees value authenticity. Organizations that walk the talk attract and retain high-quality employees. Further, organizations with transparency, genuine organizational values, consistency and authenticity will always help to drive talent attraction.
Thank you. Can you give it a round of applause? And with the judges' vote. And we're the second speaker of the opposing team. Over to you, madam.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As a second speaker of the opposition, I strongly support my team's position that employer branding is not just a marketing strategy and it helps to drive talent attraction. In my speech here today, I'm going to talk about 3 main points. Number 1, why employer branding is a marketing strategy. This is the underlying basis for us to prove it is not just a marketing strategy. Number 2, what employers really try to communicate through branding. Number 3, what really attracts talent. That is to prove our point of view 1 under hypothesis 3. So coming into my first point, as per CIPD, employer branding is a set of attributes or qualities that are often intangible that makes an organization distinctive. And according to Kotler and Keller's marketing management, marketing strategy is a logic by which a company hopes to create customer value and achieve profitable customer relationships in a target market. So this framework has 5 main components: market segmentation, targeting, positioning, differentiation and value proposition. So if you have a careful look, you will understand that employer branding also shares some of those characteristics that of a marketing strategy. How? because it targets a talent segment. There's no one size fits for all. It positions the company as an employer of choice or as a great place to work in the minds of potential candidates. It differentiates the organization through a unique features, and it communicates the employee value proposition which the potential candidates can expect. This is further proven in the Handbook of Business Management and Behavioral Sciences, which states that employer branding is a marketing tool. Further, according to Journal of Career Development International, Journal of Personal Review, Turkish Journal of Computer and Mathematics Education, Journal of Administrative Sciences and CIPD all states that employer branding is all about using marketing tactics in human resource management to establish a strong employer brand that distinguishes a company as a preferred employer. So is that all? No. It actually transcends marketing and strategically influences an organization's ability to attract talent. Coming into my second point, what employers are really trying to communicate via branding. According to Ambler and Burrow, and as per Journal of Personal Review, employer branding is about clarifying and managing an organization's tangible and intangible employment offerings. So these factors really influence the creation of a unique employee value proposition, which is the promise that an employer communicates to its potential candidates. According to the South African Journal of Business Management and European Research Studies Journal, a carefully crafted employee value proposition may include their mission and values, their culture and work environment, their growth and development capable opportunities, work-life balance, flexibility and other benefits. So it's not just about superficial branding, it's actually about creating a consistent and an authentic story that is compatible with the talent that they really want to attract. So it is supported by the International Journal of Innovative Research and Development, which states that employer branding has shifted from a mere advertising of benefits to delivering a compelling employee experience which is aimed at attracting talent. In other words, it's about walking the talk, not just talking about a story, really delivering the story. I'm coming to my third point. What really attracts talent? It's not flashy marketing or gimmicks. Talented individuals are looking for alignment between their personal values and what the organization really has to offer. According to the Handbook of Business Management and Behavioral Sciences and CIPD, a well-crafted employer brand helps an organization to create a psychological bond with their potential candidates, which drives them to apply for the job. According to the recent studies published in Frontiers in Psychology 2022, Journal of Administrative Sciences and European Management Journal, key factors that attract a candidate includes, but not limited to, organization's value and mission, culture, reputation and leadership, opportunities for learning and development, and compensation. So this shows that what employees look for in their potential employers and what companies try to communicate through employer branding is almost the same. So through a carefully drafted employee value proposition, a company can drive its talent attraction. So in conclusion, employer branding is not just a marketing strategy, and it helps to attract candidates with the right organizational fit. Thank you.
Thank you. The judges moved. By the third speaker of the proposing team, over to you, sir.
Good evening, judges and fellow debaters. I heard the opposition team argue that employee branding plays a key role in attracting talent. While their points sound persuasive on the surface, but overlook a critical truth, employer branding is fundamentally a marketing tool. And like all marketing strategies, it can be manipulated, exaggerated, and disconnected from reality. Okay, let's address the same point here. Now, according to the first speaker, the captain said, it's about people practices and not marketing. Yes, it's people's tactics, yes. According to International Labour Organizations, it says 60% of the total organizations are corporates, and out of which the LinkedIn says 60% is using branding out of it. Just think about the whole HR perspective in micro, SMEs, and all the other organizations who are also using the talent attraction. Ladies and gentlemen, don't define yourself that talent attraction is only for the high profiles, like scientists, IT professionals, like a carpenter in our village, like a technician in a garage. That is also a talent, right? So those talents cannot be replaced. So do you think those companies, the small companies, are also using this brand marketing? No. Actually, now this is what we wanted to say, this is actually a marketing tool that corporates uses, but it doesn't help to attract the talent. That is our argument for today. So I would like to emphasize here that the captain and the second speaker was just showing the slogans and diagrams. I want to ask, what is about the argument? What is the diagrams about? And who introduced that? And what is the source? And why you have got this? What is the referral? So if you are showing without any referrals or something like that, I also can show some very beautiful printed things and I'll show. But it doesn't mean a sense. So when you are just basing on those points, I strongly say that your points are really false. It cannot be taken into, right? And according to the first speaker, he says the employees actually get benefited out of it. So I'm not going to tell about what ChatGPT says about, but it says the real practical examples of the world that actually prove why they have not used these branding strategies not to attract talents, but they have succeeded in their world. Now, according to the Berkshire Hathaway, the Warren Buffett is the CEO of that. Everyone's want to work because they wanted the company is authentic, consistent, and real organization values. The Berkshire does not worry about this employer branding. So this is a company where the Berkshire Hathaway is ranked the fifth of 500 list in 2024. So do you think these companies have succeeded in employer branding, without employer branding? So they have succeeded in recruiting talents. So this is a real-time proof. And I will also show that there are some misleading areas and failure companies who have actually used it, just to practical, right? So company is from Uber, what failed? The toxic culture, the harassment claims, and the poor executive behavior that leaked into public view, that it resulted in massive brand damage, talent began avoiding the company, and even existing employee left. Now, the second speaker was saying it was very cost effective. Now, if you are just attracting these customers by giving bogus promises, so what happens? So once they come into this organization, they will not stand. The consistency will be not there. So the recruiting process will have to incur another cost to recruit another person. So it should be very transparent. I think that perception and the reality is different thing in talent attraction when you are doing brand marketing, right? And there are some misleading areas I would like to say. Now, according to the global, Uber Global, they say the misinterpretation of work environment really was unsuccessful with this. So Uber's early employer branding portrayed fast-paced, innovative culture, but later investigation says that toxic work environment marked by harassment and discrimination. Now, according to the LinkedIn, they say a real picture of it. LinkedIn 2021 that says talent tax reports that showed 70% of job seekers prioritize salary, benefits, and work-life balance over company reputation. What they say is, we work hard, strong brand image and modern innovative employer, but after financial troubles and internal channels, talent attraction plumb, showing the perception is not enough. So this is the real-time examples and referrals I have shown, not like this just beautiful slogans here. So just understand the fact that employer branding is not only a market, it's only a marketing strategy and does not help to drive talent attraction in the marketing.
Thank you. Can we give a round of applause? Can we give judges a moment? May I invite the third speaker of the opposing team out to you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Let's get to the point. While the proposition says employer branding is just a marketing strategy, it does not help drive talent attraction. I'll be proving my point stance. As Asma rightly mentioned at the beginning, the heart of the case, employer branding helps drive talent attraction. So to prove this, I will be taking you through two angles. One is employer branding efforts results in talent attraction, and then number two would be employer brand positively influences the candidate's application decision. So to get into the point of view one or the angle one, employer branding efforts result in talent attraction. I'll be using some real life examples, employer branding efforts which have directly influenced this. So Microsoft in 2018 at the Global Glimpse Summit Toronto, they came and launched a campaign called Come As You Are, which is an employer branding campaign which communicated about inclusive culture as a talent management, right? So this was targeted at the LGBTQ and other genders, making it inviting for anyone to come and join the company and perform, showing the equality of it. If we did not communicate that, they wouldn't have got so much. So the statistical outcome would have was number one. Microsoft was able to be number one on LinkedIn's top companies to work for in the US 2021. And companies 2023 diversity and inclusion report showed women in executive roles increased by 3.2%, arriving at a total of 29.1%. And there were notable increases in Black, African American, Hispanic, and Latinx employees at leadership levels, and improved hiring of females in tech roles, regardless of one's orientation or gender. This proves that employer branding efforts have resulted in talent attraction. My example number two is Unilever's campaign of Discover Your Purpose. This was actually targeted at the Gen Zs and millennials, which is a purpose-led employment when at a point when the Gen Zs and millennials did not know what to do with their career. They wanted help, right? So talent attraction outcome was really became one of the top 3 most attractive employers globally, and the number of graduate applications went up by 30% in key markets. The employer brand helped reduce time to hire and increased offer acceptance rates, especially for the Gen Z talent. So in conclusion, I would like to say these examples show that employer branding is more than just a marketing strategy, it's a strategic talent attraction tool. So I'm now going into my angle 2, which is employer branding positively influences the candidate's application decision. So if you look at the employer brand, it's strategically built. First, it's pushed through a robust marketing strategy to potential candidates. You market the brand, you build the brand first and then you market it. There has to be a brand to market in the first place. Without the brand, there is no marketing, there's nothing to market. So simply when there's no brand, there's no marketing, right? So in a nutshell, what happens is when a strong employer brand starts a campaign, the messaging is seen and heard by the entire candidate population, which includes the talent we are looking for. As you can see in the infographic, you look at targeting it at a pool and then you have the talent inside, right? So if you look at this, it's similar to the Marketer funnel, which is invented by John Miller by Marketer Inc., where employer branding campaigns will impact the entire candidate population, and it will increase the chances of talent attraction. So if you look at the funnel, there is 3 stages. Mainly you talk about awareness, consideration, and conversion. So brand awareness in the minds of the candidates would sound like, oh, there's a company like this, they do X, Y, Z things. That's brand awareness coming from an employer branding perspective. Constant brand recall will trigger, oh, they constantly do exciting things to grow my career as a company. Then with the constant messaging and content going around, you'll come to consideration stage when you see the same thing, in a long term, you really, feel like going and checking it out, right? So the consideration in that stage, people would be thinking, this company actually must be good. My friend says it's good, and reviews say the same. So I might consider it, right? So finally, when you look at, you talk to friends, and then you find out of the company, where when they find out they walk the talk, finally you hit the button and convert, okay, I'm applying. That's what happens. So in real life, data-backed examples, if you look at it, employer branding has positively influenced candidate's decision. Let me pull out some data for you because you were telling that we were just making basis conversations. I'm pulling out data. You are also doing the same, but then I'm pulling out data here. Glassdoor study in general market 2021 said 86% of job seekers reviews, checks counted reviews and ratings before deciding to apply. 69% would not take a job with a company with a bad reputation. So the outcome is employer brand perception has a direct impact on application volume. A positive employer reputation builds trust and interest, influencing the candidates to apply. So my second example is L'Oreal Talent Connect employer brand platform, which they launched in 2010. L'Oreal reported 20% increase in job applications within 1 year. The company also moved up in rankings of most attractive employers globally. So the outcome is a strong brand with digital presence increases both visibility and attractiveness. Employer branding is not just marketing image, it directly shapes candidates' decision making.
Thank you, Dr. May I the fourth speaker of the proposing team, over to you, madam.
Esteemed judges, ladies and gentlemen, and fellow debaters, let me start with the purpose of employer branding because I don't want to go on and on again with the definitions because I think both teams introduced their definitions. But the purpose of employer branding is to create a positive image of the company or an organization in order to attract, engage, and retain talented individuals who align with the organization's culture, value, and goals. So, having said that, the second speaker and the captain of the opposing team kept on saying that the values and culture and goals are being communicated. But is it really? For example, branding talks about promotions. But look at this. At the entry point, people come in, but there's a point, there's a bottleneck, stagnation is there. So your promotion policy is not being communicated to people. So they come for promotions, but there's stagnation and it's not in the EVP or the value proposition. And then again, branding talks about pay and allowances and also medical and etc. So let's take medical, but there are T and C applied there, right? So there are the conditions there or eligibility criteria. So those things are not communicated. So you're kind of showing. You're not showing the transparency is not there. You're not putting out the real communication, the real value, the real goals. And the branding also talks about the rewards. For example, let's say attendance awards, which of course, you come in, you think, okay, I'm attending to work more than the other people, so I'll get rewarded. But no, you will have to come to work every day, so there's a condition, but then it's impossible to do so. So those things are not communicated. So only the positive is communicated, where the negative is hidden or not communicated. And of course, the stress and the workload is not communicated. The exit experience, you said it's all about employee experience as communicated. So how about exit or the onboarding experience might be there, employee experience might be there. How about the exit experience? It's not mentioned because it gives it a negative impact on the employer branding. And of course, layoffs. You will ask the people to come in, you will attract the people, but your policy on layoff, it's not mentioned. We're not talking about only Sri Lanka because this is a worldwide thing. Right. And the first speaker brought up an argument about people, because of the branding, they come and he pointed out an example, but I would like to point out Wells Fargo, which is a lending company by banking and finance. They had multiple scandals involving fake accounts, pressure sales tactics, and unethical behavior. So it became public. And after what happened, internally, because the integrity and trust was eroded, due to that, Wells Fargo fell in employer ranking. So a career builder survey sent in 2017 found that 71% of candidates would not apply to a company involved in a public scandal, even if they are unemployed. And coming to the second speaker, she defined the employee value proposition. She kept on saying about the employees that are being attracted or being recruited. So you're not agreeing with that. You were speaking about attractive, but you forgot EVP, employee value proposition, has people who are already working in the workforce. And so you said about the promise has to be clearly communicated, but is it really communicated? Like I said, according to all those points, the communicating points or the company policies, are they really authentic? Are they consistent? Is the company really values being shown to them? No. And the third speaker actually brought up, I feel like I don't have many points to counter argument because I did not see any rebutting points from the second or third speaker. I felt like you're proposing the topic, but anyways, the little that you said, I will rebut. Amazon, I would point out an example from Amazon where it brought up working conditions. According to the third speaker, he spoke about this, but listen to this example. Media investigations and employee reports reveal high pressure environments, surveillance and insufficient break times in Amazon warehouses. So you know Amazon, it's a renowned company, right? So despite Amazon's external messaging about innovation and opportunity, warehouse workers shared a different story. So this disparity between corporate branding and the frontline experience made, according to a 2021 survey, this is not made up by me, by Morning Consult, found that 30% of US adults had a more negative view of Amazon as an employer after these reports. Right. So now what we are saying is, HR department comes into operation because of this. This is branding is only a sugar-coated lie that anyone would be attracted, but that's where it cannot really attract employees or new talent because they expect. The expectation is just marketing. So therefore, that's why we are introducing these. Not introducing. The HR department comes into effect with these functions where they can attract new talent. And I have examples for that, but I think time is not permitting me to do so. So to sum up, I would clearly say a poorly executed or insincere employee brand can in fact be detrimental to attracting as well as retaining the talent. But the structured and implemented HR strategies can attract, engage, and keep the employees in an organization without leaving.
Thank you. Can we give an applause? And may I invite the fourth speaker of the opposing team, over to you, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, I love cake. In fact, I love chocolate cake. So I go to a bakery and buy a chocolate cake. However, the moment I bite into the chocolate cake, the moment I find that there's vanilla inside, I tend to get emotional. Because either the baker has lied to me and sold vanilla cake instead of actual chocolate cake, or else the baker is so bad that he thinks vanilla cake is actually chocolate cake. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening. The entirety of the proposition's argument today is focused on a single perspective, which is failure of an employer branding perspective. Employer branding not done right is leading to failures. Employer branding not done right leads to vanilla inside the chocolate cake. We are not talking about employer branding failing as a concept. The topic itself says employer branding. Employer branding is not only a marketing strategy, and it does help or does not help drive talent attraction. What are we talking about? Talking about failures of employer branding deployment. That is completely out of the topic. The proposition seems to have misunderstood that concept on its own, and on their own they have done a tremendous job so far in identifying that employer branding's failures, the company's failures to deploy employer branding, is a reflection of employer branding. How can that be? And of course, the first speaker, moving on. Let me introduce you to the topic again. Talent attraction is not talent sourcing, is not talent acquisition, is not talent retention. Every single member of the proposition seems to confuse talent attraction with either acquisition or retention. We are talking about talent attraction. Read the topic again. Employer branding is just a marketing strategy or is more than just a marketing strategy, and employer branding helps to drive talent attraction. Not drives, not completely is responsible for, not completely drives, helps to drive, and not talent attraction, as in not any people's attraction, not talent acquisition, Talent attraction, people who are normally above the normal level of performance. This is talent and attraction. We are not talking about recruiting them into the company. We are talking about driving the attraction and helping employer brand as a function, as a common, properly working concept, helping to drive talent attraction. The entirety of the proposition's arguments is based on the failure of employer branding being deployed, not how they are going to prove it. Let me move on to the second speaker. She wasted 6 whole minutes in coming up with 7 HR strategies, ladies and gentlemen. 6 whole minutes. Tell me one instance where she actually proved or rather linked those 7 strategies to show that employer branding does not help. Those 7 strategies, how did you prove that they do not help to drive talent attraction? No, you just simply mentioned that they were there. But these are all simple factors, but that has nothing to do with the topic for tonight's discussion. And then why are we under the assumption? Why is the proposition under the assumption that all candidates equal talent? Oh no, we distinctly identify the two. That is what our model said. And of course, my dear sir, third speaker of the proposition, the model doesn't have a source, that's our brain. That is our model. We do not cite any sources for that. We come up with, because that is our hypothesis, our thing. You want a source? Fine. Brain number 1, 2, 3, 4. That's our source. That is our fundamental structure. We don't have sources for that. And then of course, you're coming up with the third speaker, coming up with some beautiful comments rather. Everything, however, is fundamentally associated to a failure of employer branding. Nobody says, and nobody, I repeat, not a single speaker of the proposition has proven that employer branding has not helped drive talent attraction. We very clearly gave our definition, and the fourth speaker, I think she has been eating too much of the chocolate cake because she claims that my third speaker has been talking about Amazon as a source. I mean, I'm reading this, I'm pretty sure I had a part in knowing this. There's no Amazon as a source, no example of Amazon. It's Glassdoor, it's L'Oreal. Clearly not Amazon, L'Oreal. I'm just saying, so ideally I would recommend the fourth speaker of the proposition to simply either listen better or else come up with better arguments. And then of course moving on. What about she herself? Look at the way that the proposition contradicts themselves. She herself mentions and challenges our second speaker for not bringing up the current workforce. Then she moves on to say that employer branding is unable rather to attract new talent. So now she is reflecting on new talent while accusing us of not addressing existing workforce. Well, what is your fundamental basis of your argument? What's the strategy? What's the fundamental position of yours? One is saying something, the other one is saying another thing. And then of course, when it comes to your fundamental arguments, failure to deploy something, ladies and gentlemen, is not something. That is an execution problem. That is not a concept problem. So let me reiterate our stance. Employer branding is a marketing strategy and is more than a marketing strategy. Based on our hypothesis, we have proven it. And then to add to that, employer branding helps attract talent. Helps to drive a talent attraction. Not defines it, not controls it, not 100% does it. That is our stance. Over to you.
Thank you. Can we give a round of applause? So we'll summarize the debate, and on behalf of the opposing team, I invite the captain to summarize the debate. And so you have 6 minutes. Over to you.
Well, a steamy finishing by my fourth speaker. I think he's been really tested with what the opposition has to say, and fair enough, right? The proposition has to say. It made senseless arguments, baseless arguments on challenging certain things that are not even needed to be sourced. Now, for example, this model. First, let me talk about this model to show you what we discussed, just because on the other side there were claims that there wasn't enough points to rebuttal, and also claiming to cite references to this. So, like my fourth speaker said, this does not need a reference. I told you this is the principle on which we will build our argument. So, these separately, as we speak on hypothesis 1, employer branding is a marketing strategy. Employer branding is more than a marketing strategy. That is hypothesis 2. And of course, hypothesis 3, employer branding helps drive talent attraction. These are broken down versions of today's topic. So for better understanding, we've segregated it into 3 separate topics. And to prove the third hypothesis, we have 3 points of view which we have spoken in depth about. The second speaker and third speaker have done that. Not only have they submitted research and facts and numbers, they've proven that all these 3 are true. Now, for these elements, as we proved it, we went into absolute detail about citing references. I mean, you would have heard it if you listened clearly, but if you were like your fourth speaker not listening, then you don't have anything to rebuttal, nor do you have any sense to remember what we said. Each of these points was spoken in detail. When the second speaker went in, she said which is the area she's addressing. The third speaker went in to say the areas he's addressing. And in their approach to justifying, proving and establishing our stance, they cited sources for each of these. That is exactly what happened. Are you not concentrating enough on what's happening? You also showed so many cards like authenticity, which absolutely didn't make sense to the topic anyway. We didn't ask you for sourcing of those cards that you showed. Those are just principles. This is something like that too. It is a principle that we put together. You can challenge it, break it with an argument, but don't ask sources. We don't have it. We came up with it ourselves. Outright ridiculous. Arguments win debates, not stupid arguments. You have to have logical arguments to win debates. Now, I'll start off with a ridiculous one. The third speaker went on to say, I'm not going to say what ChatGPT says. But if you're listening closely, very next line was, he said, I will tell you what ChatGPT says. I mean, though it's not phenomenally important to today's topic, that is exactly what came out. Of course, the fourth speaker's definition. She went on to define the objective of employer branding is attracting talent. I don't know if you're listening closely. The third speaker said the definition of employer branding is attracting talent. In her definition, it included attracting talent. She earned an honorary 5th seat in her team. Did you just realize that? She earned an honorary 5th seat in her team. She said the same thing that we've been trying to establish over the last 1 hour. And at least 6 times the opposition used the word recruitment. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not here to talk about recruitment. If you attract good talent, yes, you can go ahead and recruit them. But today's topic is far away from recruitment. We have not even got there. We are talking about attraction, and that too, not fully attracting, helping the process of attracting somebody. So understand, if we are to win the debate, or if you are to win the debate, you have to tell us that employer branding. You don't have to tell us that they recruited or the employee was good, like you were speaking about performance and all that. That's not needed. You have to tell us if employer branding didn't even appeal to anyone, get anybody's attention, not to apply for a job, even like a post, not even like a post. Even if we got their attention through employer branding, we won the debate. Because helps attract, not do anything by itself. It's just a very simple thing that we've got to do. And we've proven more than that in our comprehensive structure and gone on to establish our point right now. Again, like my fourth speaker pointed out, everybody's argument, principal argument that they've been staging today and presenting today is about this concept going wrong, negative-minded, absolutely negative-minded. What if it goes wrong? What if it goes wrong? These are areas it can go wrong. People are promising bad salary and not giving it. If you're in HR, if you pick up what HR principles are, employer branding has to be genuine. Don't lie. You have to speak the truth. You will get the right kind of talent that you're looking for. But when you speak up, this is a very, very sensitive area. I'm going to get into a danger zone, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to get into a danger zone. But I must get into the danger zone for the opposition, or rather tonight's proposition, to understand what this is. They said, whatever is shown in employer branding is not true. They said employer branding doesn't speak the truth. They said that, and they challenged it. I'm not going to say if employer branding is speaking the truth or not. Even if they're not speaking the truth, that is not the matter of argument tonight. Let's understand this really clearly. Employer branding may not necessarily be speaking the truth. I'm not going to be talking about the fact that if it's right or wrong. It may not be speaking the truth. But does it attract talent? That's the question, ladies and gentlemen. Brands may be lying. They may be putting up a great show with employer branding. Are they speaking the truth? I don't know. Should they speak the truth for tonight's discussion? No. You don't have to talk about if they're being genuine or not. Show us that they didn't attract talent. You didn't. Of course, the fourth speaker went on to speak about layoffs during, do we speak about layoffs during employer branding activities. I mean, you don't print your date of divorce on your wedding invitation, do you? Do you print your date of divorce on the wedding invitation? I don't think you do. Nobody does it. So, simple as that. Employer branding wouldn't tell you if you resign what happens. But just to let you know, there are brands across the world that talk about exit and welcome them to come back also. So you haven't done your research well, and you've just framed your mind into a very narrow objective of what is going on. That's that. Given that time is up, though I have many more things to say, I'd like to conclude. You've spoken a lot. You've spoken a lot about recruitment. You spoke a little bit about attraction too, but in no point did you tell us that employer branding didn't help attract talent, and you didn't also prove that employer branding is only a marketing activity, while we clearly proved it is much more. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right, to summarize the debate on the proposing team name with the captain once again, and so you have 6 minutes. Over to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, using a prop, a metaphor can put me into quotes, right? Okay, anyway, I'm going to start with the definition, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, the definition was totally clear, right? Let me rephrase it because I think you really did not understand. Well, for example, when it came to employee branding, we spoke about the employee organization's value proposition, where employee value proposition came. So the same point was also emphasized that we didn't say. So, and also regarding the strategy of marketing, let me tell you something. Well, we had almost the same stuff. Come on. It says, with the purpose of, organization's value proposition to define target audience of current and potential employees with the purpose of positioning a company as an employer of choice in the labor market. Now that was from employer branding, and let me see the connection in between where Philip Kotler says a marketing strategy is a plan that identifies the target market value proposition, and that means why the company will communicate the value to the customers to achieve competitive advantage. I think it's all about. Anyway, let me go speaker by speaker. Well, what we are telling is, ladies and gentlemen, we are not telling that we really are against to these, what you call employee branding. What we are telling is, it's just a marketing strategy. Come on, how can I prove it? Of course, second speaker, you brought the segments of marketing. Well, of course, yes, it's only a marketing strategy. I totally agree. You brought the market segments, and of course, you covered about the fundamentals of marketing. I heard about the 4 Ps. I guess you were too speedy. I think I got it, right? So, yes, of course, it's a marketing strategy. Because, ladies and gentlemen, what we say is, why this employer branding becomes a marketing strategy. Now, we do real historical selections. Now, practical examples practiced from companies really say the stuff on the real world. Come on, let's all give for a practical aspect. Well, ladies and gentlemen, having a practical aspect from historical selection will show experiences from employees, because we evolve with the experiences, we evolve with mistakes, so they can prove what this has been so far. And in most of the companies, just like my speaker said, with statistics, especially the second speaker, we really pointed out how much the percentage of what can bring this employee branding to a marketing platform. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me say something. Now, first speaker said about acquisition. Ladies and gentlemen, I would really stay in the stance. We did not mention the word acquisition. And also, the marketing segment, of course, madam, yes, you also really proved our topic. And the second thing is the employee value proposition. We spoke about it, and we told the culture in there, and the culture, especially the culture, because now considering the culture, we can really think, now, if the culture is totally out, have it been totally out in an organization? Just be genuine to yourself. And also, which part of employee branding is the thing that really considers? Now, let me really summarize this up to you. First of all, we made the stance by telling that authenticity, transparency, consistency, and the general organization values were not in the branding. Right? Because now it's a historical event. Yes, of course, there are definitions, but we say from historical events, from case studies done, and from researches done, like my speaker said. So none of our speakers addressed the the genuine organization values. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that is something really exciting because the exit experience, of course, you addressed it, but still, I would say you didn't get the point, my dear fourth speaker. Well, when it comes to exiting employees, you should have a real focus on what you see, because you just say, you come to office and say, go, you're done, that's all. And that is not being really brought up into the stage and on a marketing branding platform, right? You don't say it. So that's why marketing is something that really tries to show you that these are the good things, these are the positive things, right? And I say, we say, and the whole world say, based on historical events, that marketing is, yes, it's a very critical thing, but still, employee branding, when we consider about the authenticity, transparency, consistency, and general organization values, yes, they have been failed many times. So that really proves that employer branding is only a marketing strategy. Let me skip to where the HR concepts came. Well, why the HR concept? Now, to talent attract, there are many more things than marketing. So, like I said, the talent sourcing, of course, the compounding leading company, what a way to attract employees. And also the job design, what a way that Netflix used to attract employees, right? Why should we say that? The only thing, the marketing part done, yes, we are the best company in the world and we attract employees. Wow, is that your only perspective? I think you just misunderstood the topic and the whole concept of this. What? So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to point out that the first speaker also brought something about communicating talents. Of course, yes, it's about communicating talent, but you don't show the real thing. That's what we are trying to say. When you don't show the real thing, there will be circumstances, and when circumstances are there, they're going to not help to attract the proper talent. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to say that the fourth speaker talked about our layoff information, which was not included also in the communication. And also you were paying attention on what were the HR strategies, because she nicely explained and explained really well with the example. So in summation, I would like to say, if employer branding is truly attracting talent, ladies and gentlemen, every company with a glossy Instagram and a shiny career page would be drowning in top performance. But they are not, right? They are not. There are some companies do not need branding at all, like my third speaker told. So we are great. Employer branding is a marketing act, and the talent, of course, the people with real talent can really smell it off when you see something like that. So I don't want.
Thank you. Can we give an applause? So friends, Hemas hospitals have already made their way to the final on the 2nd of June. And today we'll find out if it's Commercial Bank or DIMO. A big round of applause for Commercial Bank and for DIMO PLC. A wonderful semi-final. So we'll give the judges a moment, and until they come back, we will have some vanilla cake with chocolate ice cream. judges back and may invite Professor Arbasha Ali Khan to give probably a few words and then of course also reveal the winner to us. Over to you.
Thank you. So we were again discussing this in detail and some points, some feedback that we thought would be good to give you is one is to stick to the time. It was repeated. We said at the start also, but many speakers went over the time that was given. So it would be good in the future to stick to the time that is given. And another point that we thought was important was to really go into more research and get some more relevant information to support your claim. And anything else? Yes, and reading off notes, to avoid reading off notes is also very important in a debate. Of course, you can have your points, but not read off the notes. So we've considered those and many other points, and then decided the team that would go to the finals would be DIMO.
So friends, a big round of applause for Commercial Bank. Thank you, and great, and it was great to have all of you, and we wish you the very best. So a wonderful performance, and thank you for coming this far in semi-finals. So like I always say, there is no team that goes home empty-handed. A team that has come to semi-finals, you come back next year strong. Yeah, that would be my wish for you. And our winner for today, and who will meet Hemas Hospitals. Put hands together for DIMO PLC. So I think it's a repeat of the round robin, is it? Right. So DIMO PLC and Hemas Hospitals will be at the final. A big round of applause for CIPM for putting this together. We have been hosted well here. So big round of applause for CIPM and the organizers. Thank you so much. So one thing what we can tell the debating team, maybe DIMO and of course Hemas Hospitals is CIPM is willing to help you all. We have about 1.5 weeks to go for the debate. So in case you need any help, anything to sort of catch up with, please talk to the organizers. Let's see how we can actually help you as well. I'm sure, I think the Toastmasters have also got involved a lot, and there's a lot of knowledge being shared. In case you need any help, please get in touch with the organizers and let's see how we can take it forward. So the great HR debate is the starting topic of the conference, and I believe that the tone we set on the second is what's going to drive the conference. So I think you're in this amazing position where you can actually set the tone for the conference. So if we set something positive, whatever the topic is, I don't know, I'm sure the organizer decided the topic, I don't know what the topic is, but whatever the topic is, if the opposing and the proposing team can really raise their game the best they can, I believe we set the tone for the conference as well. And this has been the case over the last 60 years. So friends, once again, a big thank you to both teams, Commercial Bank and DIMO PLC. Thank you to our judges, and round of applause to our wonderful judges. We will see them all on the second, and whilst DIMO has already made their way to the finals, Mumbai is still trying. Mumbai is trying to make their way. Let's hope that Mumbai gets into the top 4. Hopefully for Mahela's sake. Right, so with that, thank you so much for being here. I think we have had a great round of debates. Enjoy the rest of the 1.5 weeks, and we'll see you all on the second. Go home safely, and God bless you all. Thank you.